Hi, folks. Nick Tuckert here with the Historical Fencing Guild. Before we get into it, I do need to thank some folks. The Historical Fencing Guild is also made possible and supported by our good friends over at the Independent Creator Directory. That's IndieCD.org, your one-stop shop for the best and the brightest authors, artists, and musicians. We are also supported by sales of The Simple Sword, The Fighting Axe, and The Simple Spear. All part of my ongoing series of Western martial arts manuals designed to help you go from having never handled the sword to teaching the art to others. And most of all, my amazing Patreon folks. These people give out of their hearts and souls and pocketbooks to allow me to be able to afford things to review. They send me things and enrich, they give me things that they make it possible, and I couldn't do it without you guys. And their names are going to scroll across the bottom of the screen. I do need to give a slight caveat to this episode. For relative reasons, I am having some pretty bad nerve pain things today. And I'll be honest, I nearly canceled today's stream. But I want to talk about something that I believe is of enough import that I am powering through. Big shout out to Joe if he's still lurking for the laugh. I really needed it today. But should you guys see me shaking or with odd expressions, I am not in a low blood sugar situation. Nothing tenable is wrong. My medicines should help, but I am letting you know. It's been a while since you guys have seen me have a bad day and it line up when I'm on camera. So if I sound terse, more so than usual, or have odd expressions, you guys understand what's going on. I thank you for your patience and tolerance for my idiosyncrasies in this matter. Now, and of course, I left the gorget out in the living room, but that's okay. Today, I want to talk about an important matter that's going on. Right of late, there is has been a rash of rather severe HEMA injuries. If you've been following, and it has led to the discussion of other related HEMA injuries, including concussions and neck injuries. And I need to talk about something that I think it may be the cause, or at least a major contributing factor. And it comes from the difference in equipment requirements. Now, for years, I have spoken that, at least in the area called the Middle Kingdom, the Middle Realm, in the Society for Creative Anachronism, I feel that the armoring requirements are insufficient for the type of combat that they do. In that they should be wearing, and everyone should be wearing, a plastron to protect the ribs and soft tissue, especially women, because it is a scientific fact that repeated blows and bruising to breast tissue is a contributing factor to breast cancer. I am very protective of that subject because my mother is a breast cancer survivor. And it is, so it's something that has become a relevant subject since I was very small. I've said that in the past. I continue to say so. Now I'm pointing a little bit at the Western martial arts guys and the armor suppliers for HEMA and the Western martial arts guys. There have been a rash of punch through failures. There have been a rash of rather severe concussion and neck injuries I've been hearing about on different forums. And I have heard people in discussing it go, well, you got to look at the SCA guys, and they must be thinking about the heavies. Now, not many people know this because I don't get to discuss it much in the format I would like to. But there was a time where I was studying SCA heavy armor under a squire whose real world name was Jesse Tibbetts, and he unfortunately passed in a auto accident, very sadly. But I was subject to some really informed from somebody who studied a lot of metal and engineering concepts, a very underappreciated, very brilliant man. And I'm going to have to probably do some drawing here. So I'm going to, in a moment, bring up my art program. Not because we're doing art time with Nick or anything silly, but because I need to explain these concepts. And I watch, shockingly, a whole lot of HEMA videos. And the reason I am talking about this, let me see. I'm just getting my art thing set up. I had a conversation pop up that was rather unexpected right before my stream. It was delightful, but unexpected. And yes, I have to mutter to myself to narrate what I'm doing. We're going to keep this up. This is going to work. And I'm sorry, I know I'm neglecting the chat, but unfortunately, I'm still waiting for my nerve meds to kick in. And if I have to cut the show short, I need to have this message out on the internet more than I need to be sociable. Anyway, there are two armor pieces that require weight. I always get weight misspelled. I think it's this. Anyway, if I've misspelled it, y'all can laugh at me. That's the wrong pen. Yep, got it. Cool. To function properly. At full speed. And force. Okay, this is important because when we are talking about what we do as combative, as a combat sport, as practitioners, and as to a bit historians, we need to understand this concept. We also need to understand that. Why did I do that? Second. Here we go. Sorry. Gorgets are not just throat. Oh, fine, deal with it. Armor. Okay? These are two concepts we have to discuss and we have to understand. Even if no one out there sees this, I'm hoping this goofy little video will possibly help explain to some folks and maybe even save lives and livelihoods. Okay, so we're going to underline that. Wait. Sorry, my hands, like I said, it's being shaky, so you'll just have to deal with that. In armor. Shields. Helmets. And yes, when I am doing analysis, especially of this sort, I lump shields into the armor category. With the shield, these both have the same basic, actually, reason. Stability. So, why does this matter? What am I saying? We have to remember that basic physics, objects at rest tend to stay at rest, objects in motion tend to stay in motion, and we know it takes more force to move an object that is heavier than it does to move an object that's light. Basic physics, we all understand this. Now, these two factors are contributing to what's going on. And because people are doing this, they are getting hurt. I love a fencing mask, okay? I love fencing masks. I am intimately acquainted with a fencing mask. You know, I'm actually seriously going to be purchasing a new one, okay? We'll just do this so that you guys understand it's a fencing mask. Yay! Fencing masks are great, but £1 or less, roughly. They are incredibly light. They're comfortable. They allow you to be nimble. Now, I am basing this off of my wife's helmet from memory, but and this is probably the ugliest chainmail I've ever drawn, but I think her helmet might be 10 pounds. It might be more. It might be less. Why does this matter? If X force Yes, I'm using math, deal with it, is going to be applied straight onto a helmet. And we're going to remember that the head in here is hinged and supported right here. Okay? A mask's weight will add no nearly no resistance. And we all know how important it is to resist to a blow. Which means, and this is rough, and people who are much better at math can give the physics lesson for it, but it takes, this is going to take roughly 10 times, I'm sorry, not 10 times, 1/10 of the resistance. Okay? And it's going to be very easy to move the head back. So if you get hit, most of your strikes are either going to come down, which you have limited range. Your jaw catches you fairly early without extreme force, but an uppercut can provide a huge amount of force, and a blow to either of the sides can cause a huge amount of leverage, oftentimes far more than the neck can handle. Also, remember, okay, same force here. What happened? Oh, I need my razor. Same force here is going to cause relatively little. So you're going, because I've seen the differences. So that's not even accurate. And I'm not using real math numbers here. I'm just using visual. I see, barely. Okay, like it barely visible a lot of the times when you compare the kind of forces that are involved for armor absorption. Okay, it's still there, and these guys hit harder. A lot, but they move the head less. There are two factors. The weight pressing down doesn't want to move, so the head is in there. This extreme movement right here, a concussion, basically, this is your brain, this is the top of your skull. This is your brain. When you have a concussion, just ignore that because it's just making my life easier. The brain impacts and possibly, if it's hard enough, impacts the skull, and it literally bruises the blob, sorry, of bacon that is your functioning center. This is very dangerous. This is very bad. A heavier helmet means it takes more force to make that motion. The other part we have, okay, So I'm going to just give me just a second. We need weight, okay, to stabilize that. So that's why heavy helms are heavy. Light swords, especially on a thrust, should be tipped with a rounded tip. Rounded. And it should be relatively solid, not just to prevent breakthrough, but so it slides off. A softer tip is going to hit and dig in. It will give you more registered hits, less like a graze, but they can hurt people more. All metal swords should be tipped. Hard stop. Okay, hard stop. I want if you are sparring with somebody who's going to be thrusting with a metal sword and it doesn't have a rubber or plastic tip on the end, you need to walk away. I don't care what it is, you need to walk away. It's dangerous. Now, and I haven't done the math and done the research to have the exact newtons. I apologize. But I know I have had the standard fencing mask runs about 350 newtons that they're designed to stop. And I'm going to say allegedly because we have to trust that. Myself, Trilaina, several others can attribute that a slightly hard slap from a rapier, heavy rapier, we're talking Schlager, Conway Practical, PHA rapier blade, any of those can be creased, okay? Where a literal ding appears in the mask, where the wire has been severely bent. You'll also have little dents, but I mean, from a slap. This is something we need to keep in mind. This gear is made around light sport fencing. Okay? Light sport fencing. You need to understand that. This is another safety issue tied to masks. How I am seeing the HEMA guys fight. Because the calibration is a huge issue from what I am seeing. They are just wailing at each other, using proper techniques that are designed to cleave and maim and kill. We have to respect and understand the functionality of what concussive techniques, especially wide arcs like Meyer throws, can do to a person. We see all these cool ballistic tests, and then we don't armor to match them. Now, we will get back to the difference of what you see the Historical Fencing Guild do versus what you see other HEMA groups do. Okay? HEMA, WMA, etc. The other part, so this is all up here. You know what? I'm going to give it a new page. I can do that. I'm not wasting paper. I'm going to say gorgets versus neck protectors. So we're going to go right across here. We're going to do this. And I know I'm in a serial mode. This is too important for me not to present in this manner. This is a gorget of the type that I make and I have sold in the past and I may sell again. This design is not the only design, but it is the one I learned originally from Dennis Yakus, and I have taken this design and up-armored it. And I can, unfortunately, my gorget is on walkabout. So I may bring in samples to show this a bit better next week because this is that important. Okay. Now, many gorgets have an extended lip. We're not really going to worry much about that for this visual because what we're not worried about thrust protection. Thrust to the neck direct protection isn't what we're worried about today. Okay? This is where what's important right now. Because what this does is it not only protects the upper vertebrae, the cervical vertebrae, from impact damage, gapping, it also is literally, so protects upper vertebrae. And again, please don't come at me about my spelling. I'm doing the best I can. I do have several just learning disabilities I'm working around. So just bear with me if I misspell something. I think that's vertebrae. Anyway, we'll worry about that later. They're safe. More importantly, so viewed from above, serves as neck brace. It locks you in. You will hear fencers talk about, I can't turn my head. I can't tilt my head. That's a good thing. Do not confuse discomfort in this case for being worth the lack of protection. Okay? Now, what you're going to see, so I'm going to write so that there, this is clear. Gorget, neck protector. You'll say neck, or whatever, protector. Now, these are very good for certain types. These are the ones, they usually have a flap that goes over here and, you know, a flap down here. Sometimes they even have like shoulder grips to keep them in place. I've seen several varieties, both homemade and purchased, and we'll just add the just enough so that you understand. Okay? And I'm going to put just a few vertebrae in for you to see. This is still decent against thrusts. This is okay. We'll check that. I will give it that. Sometimes cuts to the side. Okay, bam. A lot of times they have essentially fin. It keeps going back like that, but I don't want to confuse the function. So I'm going to get rid of those because I want you to see the important part, because the flaps kind of extend. No spinal rear protection. They just don't give it. It's literally just an elastic band, much like the elastic band on the back of your mask. And importantly, when we look at it from the side, so I have to do this. Kind of looks like this, and kind of has these flaps. Elastic. Velcro. They wrap around the back of your neck to hold on the front. Okay? No bracing. Okay? There's no bracing there. There is no real rigidity. You can move your head, you can turn it, but you can't and you can't look down because there's a guard, and that's good, but it does nothing measurably to hold your head from being more extended than it should be. Okay? And they are. They're great for thrust-based light sparring. They really are. But just that. They don't provide enough protection for anything too heavy to the head because of the leverage effect that we talked about earlier. Armor for your style. And not just your perceived style. You have to look at the actual blows you receive. All right? if relatively light and heavily monitored, collegiate fencing plus plastron, which most of them have the good sense to wear, but plus neck pro should be fine. Foil, epee, I'm classifying it as a sport saber because it is very different than Polish saber. It is very different than a gymnastics saber. It is the wushu steel of Western swordsmanship, and I find them offensive to hold the name saber. If heavy, my pen, like I said, my hand's not working right. Hard over soft. This is going to be, and I'm borrowing out of my memory of different heavy manuals, but I've seen them do it. I've seen them do it much more safely than others. So head, neck, chest, kidneys, groin, knees, and elbows. Hands. Nick, that seems excessive. Yeah, it is. You were whacking at each other near full force with swords. It should be excessive. You are doing an excessive thing. How are you fighting? Question mark. I want to know, like, because when we're getting into this, this is essentially a super plastron. Okay? It's a chest plate. Let's go. I've covered why you need a chest plate. Kidneys. You have no ribs that protect your kidneys. A hard enough blow to the kidneys can rupture things, can be fatal. This is bad berries. We don't want to die for real. We want to kill our friends and then be able to go out for hamburgers and soda pop afterwards. Groin. If you're dumb enough to go out on a on a battlefield without groin protection, you have to realize, just look up what happens when someone exsanguinates into their scrotal sac. Look up testicular torsion. And then, of course, just for the fun of it, look up Lorena Bobbitt, because that's the level of stupidity it takes to walk out on a battlefield. I am in pain. That makes me blunt and honest. Knees and elbows are hinge joints. That means they bend really well on one axis. Any other axis utterly destroys them. Guess what a blow to the side of the knee is literally designed to do? And like, if we were discussing survival techniques and how to use a stick, you target any joint that hinges either with a strike or a strike from a weapon or a body part to make it go in a direction it's not designed to cripple or debilitate your enemy. That is the function of this. Just like the gorget, as we talked earlier, proper elbows and knees provide a measure of bracing. They usually have flaps to protect the joint from side impact. They call them wings. It keeps that safe. And your hands are made of little tiny bones, much like your feet, that can be broken very easily. The reason most people don't heavily armor the feet and worry about greaves and covering your boots and stuff, although steel toes can have their own problems fighting. The steel flank that goes over, you see them some iron workers have, are actually pretty good ideas if you're comfortable moving in them when you're doing this kind of combat. But your armor should fit the style you're fighting and the way you train. And I know this isn't a fun one, but it is one that needs to happen. We need to understand this. And the only way I can prevent people from getting hurt, and the only way I can sleep at night and not feel guilty about it, is to the best of my means, try to explain this. Because if one person is less stupid on the battlefield, than they would be otherwise, I consider that totally worth the amount of time I'm putting into this right now. And to newer people, how do we do it in the HFG? Right now, I have a sliding scale. For type. When I say that, it is because we have people who strip fence. We have people who do mire. We have people who do assorted heavy styles, Japanese styles, Krav Maga. Everybody, everyone mask, throat. I keep trying to turn the H and the R into a single letter, which has never happened to the Oops. Jacket. And again, please apologize. Please understand my my hands aren't working right now, but it's important. Gloves. Groin. This is non-negotiable at this point. I may spar lightly with Trey because I've been fencing with her for 25 years. When you fought for a quarter of a century with someone, you usually are pretty good at taking care of things. It's still stupid. We still shouldn't do it, but it does occasionally happen. Oh, and I forgot plastron. Plastron should be here. If you don't like that, that is your choice. But I will not condone less armor. Attitude. And this is where it gets super important. We train as though unarmored. Why do I say that? I say that because we are not incorporating the intentional taking of a blow or accepting a blow as light in how we fight. Because one, doing that get right over here. Calling blows light breeds rhino hides. This is another SCA expression for somebody who won't accept a shot, who won't say that was good. Most fights are on the honor system. Have found a remarkable number of heavy fighters in this state class to be dishonorable in that they will not admit it because ego has an infinite armor rating. Okay? And because self-defense is an aspect, I want you to move around and act when we are sparring like that is a 3-foot-long knife pointed at you. Just like you treat a gun, every gun is treated like it's loaded. You're going to treat the swords and axes and things you're dealing with like they are live steel. I never want you to let go of that. Yes, that is mentally a bit intense. That can be off-putting. But it's far safer. And I am going to engage in that the same way I always have. And I'm going to condone that. Again, this may offend people. I am okay with that. I am comfortable with offending people. I've done it before. I will do it again. And if I haven't offended you at some point, give me a minute. I will either mess up or be right and offend someone. But going back over, let's see. If you aren't wearing heavy helmets, do not throw or accept heavy blows. It's not safe. We have talked about the leverage effect. We have talked about the physics involved to an extent. I would far rather actually have you fall over than your head snap back farther than it should and your body not fall back. Okay? Oops, sorry. We did that. We covered why the gorget versus the neck protector. Again, for light, controlled combat, you can get away with that. This is why I don't yell at Trilaina for wearing one of those instead of a gorget, because of the way we usually fight. Also, I didn't even say it. Come here. Why aren't you letting me do this? I need to be here. Wrap shots. Happen. And this is why I go back over, because I'm pulling all this from memory. I don't have my notes in front of me. Actually, I do. I just don't care to pull them out because they're in a lovely book, which you can buy. Remembering that a wrap shot, let me find my stick that is everything. Is that my stick that is everything? No. Do I have my stick that is everything in reach again, or has it been borrowed as a sword by a small shop? Started to reach out like a touchscreen. Okay. A wrap shot is when you throw it, it goes outside and curls around behind the user. I'm gonna get one of those like princess heads so that I can hold it up and show you guys. I'll probably have to repaint the face or something. But oh, alrighty. Not Bob. Skull. Wrap shot comes around when you are shield to shield, often very close to your opponent, and you're wailing on each other. Wrap shot comes around and theoretically hits them in the back of the head, scoring a nice kill without anybody getting too hurt because they're wearing something called a helmet. However, assuming my hand is a happy little spine, that's not something you want to have happen to you without a gorget protecting you. You need back protection. Optimally, you have back protection on the back of your mask. Now, I'm going to do this. What am I facing and why am I not walking around like a tank? For me, I have to balance personally cost. I have to balance cost. Hold on. Limited funds. Or else I would be walking around in a beautiful set of armor. If I had unlimited funds, I would have that armor that was developed for the Fighting League that never happened, that would, had trackers and would electronically register the force, how effective hits were by the analyzing the impact. It basically air conditioned. Wait. Nerve damage. I have to be incredibly careful about how much weight I put on my body. Hypermobility. And of course, heat. I'm on 4+ heat death meds. There are certain meds that, as a side effect, being exposed to high heat can lead to fatal consequences. I am, due to my assorted injuries and things, on that list. So I am again saving up to make or purchase armor that I can use during the summer that will be affordable. Mostly light, except in places we've discussed, and ventilated. So that I have a chance. This is pure adaptation. I will be tracking that down. Unfortunately, things like a motorcycle helmet does not have the long-term durability for me to use like this. Some of the sparring helmets don't have the overall protection. It's really a hunt. So it's something I've been chasing for a long time. And if I ever figure it out before I'm too old or injured to keep doing what I do, I will let you guys know. That is what I am chasing. Okay? Winter's easy. Winter, fall, easy. Because padded jackets are beautiful. Gam, Besson. And I can't remember. I don't think that E's in there, but we'll worry about it later. Just enough French screwing with my spelling again. Padded gambeson plus plates equals happy. Most of my gear adapted into that because I'm not going to overheat much. It's the summer fighting that is the bane of my existence. So, I'm going to stop the presentation part. I've gone dang near an hour. I want to apologize to my chat if you feel neglected. I'm going to go into the chat. I will probably run a little later than usual, and I will be reaching out to some folks to make sure that they watch this in the, as a rerun later, because it is that important. And I'm really, if you have questions about this presentation, either when I am doing it live or after, reach out to me in the chat or directly. My email is accessible. Let's go through the chat. And we're going to say, Thesis is here. Good evening. Good evening, Thesis. I hope you are feeling better. Hey, Dave. Hello, Trilaina. Good to see you. Hello, Dawn. And there's greetings there. Call it short if you need to. I appreciate that. Your health comes first. I appreciate that too. And Nick, you need to do what you need to do for you. We understand. And thank you. While I am fighting the spasms pretty bad today, I usually don't show the results on camera much. But the extra effort of controlling it more would cause me far more pain than not. And because I keep seeing people hurt, I am hoping this video may get around to help people stay safer. Okay? I'm planning to actually do this probably this winter, as part of the plan to do a series of higher production recorded content from the library, at the library, possibly with the assistance of at least Trilaina. We have to reach out and make that happen. I'll be basically whiteboard full professor mode doing what I did here as part of that curriculum. So I hope that you understand that not sharing that and knowing I have information that might help somebody would cause me more pain than the physical pain and difficulty I'm going through doing the presentation. It also allows me, when I am on the farther spectrum of my physical capabilities, to address this and be useful. So let me do this. You don't need to see that anymore. And hello, Dave. And hi, Botrex. Joe teleports in, grabs the water, tips his hat to the host. Joe teleported in. Hey, here's trouble. Hey, Grant. Watch for Nick. Yes, I do. And I have this big, beautiful beast that was given to me. This was given to me by the, it was donated with the express purpose of being given to me by the Benton County Public Library for all the stuff I've done all year, gathering blasters and things to donate to the kids, and the things I continue to do. It is beautiful, and I adore it. And I already shot my room full of rival balls. But yes, I do have lots of blasters, and I usually shoot Richie with them. You keeping it classy? It's the only way I can, Grant. And that seems to be the last comment. So either I shock and awed everyone into submission, or you were being quiet and listening. In that case, I want to give you guys a round of applause for being respectful during the presentation. I do hope you guys have found this to be of service to you. I do hope that that has answered some of the questions that were put my way. And with that, I think I'm going to end the presentation for today. I will be back next week with at least another live stream. Expect at some point a delayed Nick Knows Nerf response for what the program, a few other really good things, but that's more off the other channel, unless you're watching on Kick or Twitch. For safety reasons with YouTube, I have my Historical Fencing Guild channel separate from my Nicholas Tucker channel over there. That way, because I deal with weapons training on this channel, if it were struck down, I could at least, hopefully, keep the other channel going. I haven't had that kind of issue from Twitch or Kick yet. And thank you to the people who've subbed on Kick. I appreciate the income. That is something very new to me. I appreciate my amazing patrons, Off in the Woods, Frog G, Ronald, Riehn, Bladed Thesis, Brian K. Morris, Sidney Koepp, Steve Agosto, Don Dulas, Angelina Vaquera-Linke, I apologize if I mispronounce your name, Joe and Trilaina Bachman, and I believe Richie Asplund has joined their ranks, and I need to change that. I have to double check. I know not a lot's gone up there because you guys always tell me do it here because you want it for everybody, and you are incredibly generous. So that's what we're going to do. I hope this worked. I hope you guys learn from it. If you have parts you're having trouble acquiring, especially, let me know. If I don't know a retailer who can help you acquire it, I probably know the means to make it for yourself because I want to keep you safe. Okay? Guys, keep drilling. Keep your eyes open. Be kind to yourself and each other. And as always, thank you for supporting your local swordmaster. I will be back next week, and I will be back Monday for an episode of Nevermind the Furthermore on the Nicholas Talkert channel on YouTube, and right here on the Nicholas Talkert channel on Twitch and Kick. Thank you again for your support, and have a lovely night.